The Master Chief, John 117. Commando of the Spartan II program, John was identified as one of the top trainees, recognized for his keen intellect, drive for success, physical prowess, and most importantly, luck. With his augmentations in Mjolnir Mark V armor, the Master Chief stands at over 7 feet tall, weighing nearly 1,000 pounds, running at speeds exceeding 55 miles per hour, capable of lifting 3 times his body weight, and possessing reaction times that are impossible to chart accurately. Even among his fellow Spartans, John stood out as a natural-born leader and would go on to become a key figure of turning the tide in the Human Covenant War. After the fall of Reach, John was reawakened from his cryosleep and tasked with keeping the AI Cortana safe from Covenant hands, landing on the mysterious Halo ring shortly after. And with the assistance of Cortana's hyper-intellect in determining if caves were natural formations, the Master Chief braved the likes of the Covenant and Flood, preventing 343 Guilty Spark from activating the Halo ring and annihilating all life in the galaxy. Though at the time, Cortana asked if this would be the end of Halo, and the Chief speculated that they were just getting started. And how right he was. Months after the first ring's destruction, the Master Chief returned to Earth, now aboard the orbital defense platform Cairo Station, soon after equipping himself with the extremely resilient Mark VI powered assault armor. Though eager to try it out in combat, given his previous armor's tendency to take forever to recharge its shields, the Chief is invited alongside recently promoted Sergeant Major Johnson in a commemorative ceremony for their actions. Interrupted by an invading Covenant fleet, the Master Chief is tasked with defending the station, to which he confidently replies with a request for a weapon.
Yes, sir. I need a weapon.
Right this way.
Back in action once again, the Chief approaches the blast doors with confidence, ready to dismantle any and all Covenant forces aboard the Cairo with his brand new, extremely resilient shields. And as those doors opened, the Chief leaped into action and...
Well, I guess it was all obsolete anyway.
Chief was confused, to say the least. Had it all been some sort of dream? Did he phase out at some point? Yet it all seemed so real. Everything proceeded as it did previously. Extremely resilient shields, Johnson popping in, orbital defense grid, we're lucky to have you back. I need a weapon. He proceeded to the blast doors once again, though this time, exercised a little bit more caution when they opened. Staying behind cover and taking them out one by one, the Chief's confidence returned. Once again, charging headfirst into the battlefield, he...
Well, I guess it was all obsolete anyway.
Back here once again. Something wasn't right. And the Chief had a feeling he knew what it was. Somehow, some way, he was returning to this point each time he died at those blast doors. Worse yet, his capabilities as a Spartan seemed to have dwindled significantly. His running speed seemed to be fixed. He was no longer able to kill an elite with a single punch. And worse yet, his armor shields were not extremely resilient. The Chief attempted to communicate, but no words came out of his mouth. He was forced to do the same thing yet again. Once he was free, he tried his best to communicate through jumping and shaking his head, desperately trying to say that his new armor would not work out against the Covenant. But alas, both by Guns and Johnson, he was ignored, and forced to continue through the same routine yet again. As though he had no control over his body, he was forced to continue through these sequences until reaching the blast doors once again. Opting for a much safer approach, although one not fitting of a Spartan, he was determined to get through this ordeal. Discovering that the elites were the only present threat, and that the Covenant's superior battle tactics hadn't changed a bit, the Master Chief picked up a plasma pistol and proceeded to use this in combination with his battle rifle to finally get through these blast doors. Fortunately for the Chief, it seemed the Achilles heel of the elites just so happened to be the very weapon they armed their cannon fodder with for some goddamn reason, a weapon useless against every single UNSC Marine because they lack any sort of shields. Proceeding with the utmost caution, the chief once again found himself meeting his end, though in that same instant, a wave of relief washed over him. He wasn't sent all the way back to the armory. This was far from over, but at the very least, he was not expected to do it all at once. Filled with determination and a desire to push through, the chief used his memorization of Covenant forces to eliminate wave after wave of elites and grunts, dying multiple times in the process, but never giving in to despair. And with the assistance of the high ground, plasma grenades, and the Covenant's own inability to seek Spartans hiding in cover, the chief was successful in getting through just a few more waves. After witnessing the destruction of the Malta, the chief was eager for some fucking shit. The Master Chief was eager for some payback against these bastards. However, despair soon set upon him. His battle rifle was out of ammunition. Though he had plasma grenades to spare, he knew he wouldn't stand a chance in this extremely resilient armor without a proper weapon. With his battle rifle out of ammo, the chief continued on with just a plasma pistol and a battle rifle. No, not the goddamn turret! There we go. With a battle rifle in hand once again, and knowledge that the Covenant never looks around Okay, never mind. With a battle rifle in hand once again, and with the assistance of some lucky plasma grenades, the Master Chief struggled with death after death, forced to fight the same goddamn turret at almost every run, until finally, the Chief prevailed. He perished so many times that he was even hesitant to assume that he came out victorious. But, with the destruction of the Athens, the Chief was filled with vengeful wrath, grabbing an energy sword, out for blood, and ready to... Better just stick with the battle rifle and plasma pistol. Getting through that ordeal once more, Chief proceeded with the utmost of caution, treating every single elite as though it were a one-man army. Eventually, Chief reached the armory, ready to give payback to the son of a bitch that told him his shields were extremely resilient, only to find he was dead. The Chief continued on, and perhaps as a result of his previous disrespect of the body, every death the Chief was forced to respawn, staring straight at the cheeks of the very man that lied to him. But in spite of this demoralization, the Master Chief never gave up or in, fighting through more waves of Covenant, even out in space, putting their lack of knowledge that he was more scared of them than they were of him to good use. Just as it all seemed over, Cortana gave him the worst news possible.
Just so you know, there are quite a few elites guarding the bomb. You may need to get creative.
With enough ammo for only 5 charges of his plasma pistol, the Chief knew he needed to make every shot count here. Through time and toil and even being snuck up on by these bastards, Chief finally pulled through and deactivated the bomb, victorious. At long last, it seemed to be over. And whether it was some stroke of madness or brilliance, the Master Chief decided he should let himself and the bomb out of an airlock to use it to blow up one of the 2 Covenant assault carriers above Earth. Cortana promptly told him he was crazy, a remark Chief knew was insignificant in the face of a man whose death no longer held any meaning for him. Yet in spite of the trials and tribulation he endured previously, he was somehow able to nail all of this on the first try. And before he had any chance to request some new armor, he was sent to fight on Earth. Almost filled with despair, Chief looked out the Pelican's opening below, wondering how the hell he was going to save humanity this time when he could barely take down a single elite without the need to hide. Though his contemplation was cut short as the 3 Pelicans were attacked by a scarab, even though the Chief's extremely resilient armor could barely withstand 3 plasma rifle shots and Marines died to grunts, they miraculously survived this crash. It seemed as though once more, the Chief was needed to save the day. Equipped with a battle rifle and an SMG, he knew he needed to find a plasma pistol ASAP if this were anything like Cairo. Well, that was easy. With his newfound battle tactics and utmost caution, the Chief managed to push through the Covenant forces easier than he had in Cairo. Confident this might not be as bad as he... something happened. Once again, he respawned back to the start, but hadn't the slightest clue what had killed him. Did an elite hit him? No, that couldn't have been it. The elites were a race notorious for making their presence known in every way possible during combat. One wouldn't have been able to take him down without resisting the urge to shout or scream. It couldn't have been a plasma grenade either, else Chief would have heard the explosion before dying. Whatever it was, the Chief was determined to find out. Using his knowledge of the Covenant's position and troops, he more easily dispatched their forces before coming up on the same point as before. Exercising caution this time, he checked around his previous position. Dead. The Chief was going to get to the bottom of this. Fighting through once more, he hesitantly poked his head out of this location, taking a look around until... Though it was a single missed shot, in that instant, it had all connected. Snipers. The Chief's extremely resilient armor shields only took a few hits before he died, but a sniper, one shot, was all they needed. Though one might have not been too difficult to take down, the Chief soon found himself cornered by these bastards. How the hell was he supposed to deal with an enemy that could kill him in just one shot, outnumbered him, and would begin firing if he so much as poked his head out? The Chief didn't like his odds, but knew he'd find a solution. Fuck! Shit! God damn it! No! How did... Oh my god! Why? After dying more times than he could count to these cheap bastards, he was on the verge of giving up. Wait, what the hell was up with Johnson? He wasn't dying. Somehow, some fucking how, through some contrived force of the universe, Sergeant Major Johnson could take shot after shot of these assholes on the rooftops, while Chief, the Master Chief, the finest Spartan 2 in all of the UNSC, savior of the galaxy, couldn't take one. It was upsetting, but it was just what he needed. Somehow invincible and unaware, the Master Chief knew that Sergeant Johnson was his key to victory. If he could draw the fire from the sniper jackals, the Chief could dispatch them and the remaining Covenant. It was him and Johnson versus the world, it seemed. And although brutal with countless deaths, the Master Chief and Johnson inevitably braved the hell that was this small arena, taking out the Covenant one by one with Johnson's sniper rifle and the Master Chief's superior plasma pistol battle rifle combo. While the Covenant were still savagely brutal and held superior firepower in every way imaginable, it seemed as though their battle tactics and intelligence were still subpar at best for an advanced alien race. At the end of this skirmish, the Master Chief laughed maniacally in his helmet as he gunned down a set of hunters, sad creatures compared to the terrifyingly all-seeing sniper jackals that he and Johnson braved earlier. With this arena behind him, Chief continued onward with Johnson in tow, ready to...
Sergeant, I need you on that bird.
Wait, what? No, you can't take him. Johnson, you can't go. I need you, man. You're supposed to tank and take care of the sniper jackals. What the fuck am I supposed to do without you? Johnson, no, at least give me the sniper rifle before you go. Johnson! He was gone. Though Chief took his sniper rifle and left him with a plasma pistol, he looked at the few useless Marines he was stuck with. This was going to be rough, and the Chief hoped with all of his soul that he wouldn't run into any goddamn...